In every court, in every hall of power, and in every circle of influence, there exists the same poison. A creature who feeds on admiration, who manipulates without shame, who twists reality itself to serve their hunger. These are not mere arrogant fools, these are the narcissists. And if you do not learn how to counter them, they will strip you of dignity, control, and power until you are nothing but their pawn. The problem is clear: narcissists will not stop until they dominate your thoughts, control your emotions, and turn you into an obedient shadow of yourself. But power does not belong to the manipulator. It belongs to the one who understands the game. Today, I will give you 5 Machiavellian counter strategies that will make you immune to their dangerous behavior. When a narcissist provokes you, they are not simply trying to irritate you. They are probing for weakness. They want to see if they can make you lose composure, if they can pull you into an emotional storm. Why? Because once you're in that storm, they are the ones guiding the wind. And like a foolish commander who charges into battle without a plan, you will find yourself fighting on their terms. A seasoned ruler knows better. He does not respond to every insult. He does not defend every accusation. He chooses his words the way a swordsman chooses his strikes, with precision, and only when the blow will land with maximum effect. The rest of the time, he remains still, controlled, silent. Silence unnerves the narcissist. They expect you to bite, to fight, to beg for their approval, or try to change their mind. When you do not, they are forced to face something they despise: the fact that they do not have control over you. And this, my friend, is the beginning of turning the game against them. You may think that silence means letting them win, but the opposite is true. When you refuse to react, you force them to fill the empty space with their own words, their own overreactions, and their own mistakes. You hold the mirror up to their behavior without saying a single sentence. Every great manipulator fears one thing: exposure, and your silence becomes that mirror, reflecting them for exactly what they are. But this is not passive silence. This is active, deliberate silence. You are not retreating. You are waiting. You are listening carefully to what is said, and even more carefully to what is not said. You are studying patterns, weaknesses, contradictions. You are gathering intelligence in the same way a spy gathers secrets before a strike. And when you do speak, it must be brief, sharp, and final. A narcissist can debate endlessly if you allow them, dragging you through hours of circular conversations designed to exhaust you. But a master of silence knows how to close the door quickly. One sentence, delivered without emotion, can stop them cold. The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to end the argument on your terms. There is another advantage to silence: it forces others to question you less and respect you more. In the eyes of the crowd, the loud one is always suspicious. The quiet one, who speaks rarely but with weight, is seen as the one in control. This is the image you must cultivate. The leader who does not waste words, the ruler who does not explain himself to those beneath him. Understand this. The narcissist's trap is built on speed and reaction. They provoke, you respond. They twist, you untwist. They throw chaos at you, and you scramble to restore order. In this rhythm, they lead, and you follow. But when you choose silence, you break their tempo. You rob them of the immediate payoff they crave. They will try harder at first. They will escalate, insult, bait, and play the victim. But you will remain unmoved, like a fortress wall that cannot be breached with petty stones. Your silence also makes you unpredictable. A narcissist can control a person who is easy to read, but the moment they cannot guess your next move, they grow anxious. They begin to reveal cracks in their performance. They may expose themselves in front of others without realizing it, or make desperate mistakes trying to regain your attention. This is the moment when true control begins to shift. Not through shouting, not through proving, but through the power of saying nothing at all. When you attack their illusion directly, you do not destroy it. You strengthen it. They become more defensive, more cunning, and more relentless. You become the villain in their story, and they will do everything to make sure others see you that way too. This is why Machiavelli would never advise striking at a narcissist's ego in the open battlefield. No, the wise move is to enter their illusion without resistance, and then turn it to your advantage. Mirroring their illusion does not mean worshipping them. It means allowing their fantasy to exist in a controlled space, your space. If they believe they are the cleverest, let them think you admire their wit. If they think they are a master manipulator, let them feel they have successfully manipulated you. This is not surrender. This is camouflage. Like a spy wearing the uniform of the enemy, you walk freely in their territory while they suspect nothing. The brilliance of this strategy is that it keeps them predictable. A narcissist in defensive mode is unpredictable. They lash out, spread lies, and recruit allies against you. But a narcissist who believes you are in their orbit feels safe. They reveal more, they expose their motives, and they drop pieces of their mask in your presence. You are no longer the threat they need to crush. You are the trusted audience they seek to impress. But here is the key. You mirror, you do not absorb. You do not truly believe their lies, nor do you internalize their praise or insults. You remain detached, an observer in their theater of self-importance. You smile when they boast, you nod when they exaggerate, and in doing so, you gain access to the very information they hide from others. Think of it as playing chess with a proud opponent who believes they are 10 moves ahead. Instead of proving them wrong, you allow them to believe it. You let them underestimate you. You let them leave their king exposed while they gloat over capturing your pawn. By the time they realize you were never truly under their control, the game is already over. Another advantage of mirroring their illusion is the way it disarms their hostility. Narcissists are skilled at sniffing out resistance. They can sense when someone is trying to undermine them. This is why direct confrontation so often fails. But when you reflect their world back to them, they see no enemy. They see a reflection they approve of, and in that approval, they let their guard down. This is when you can begin to guide the illusion itself. Subtly, you insert ideas, suggestions, and narratives that benefit you. If they believe they are the center of every plan, you make your plan look like their idea. If they crave admiration, you direct their performances toward goals that align with your interests. This way, their own ego becomes the engine that moves your strategy forward. Understand, this is not about flattery for its own sake. It is about control. You are not there to serve their illusion forever, but to use it as a tool until you no longer need them. Just as a ruler might keep a dangerous ally close until the right moment to remove them, you keep the narcissist close enough to read their intentions, but far enough to avoid their poison. In the court of power, the enemy who feels loved is the enemy who tells you everything. The narcissist will confide in you, thinking you are their loyal subject. They will share their schemes, reveal their insecurities, and expose their alliances. All the while, you are simply holding up a mirror that reflects exactly what they want to see, while your mind remains focused on the truth they cannot see. A narcissist will never attack at full force in the beginning. They are too clever for that. Instead, they start with small invasions, so subtle you may not even notice. They ask for favors, but never repay them. They interrupt you when you speak, but expect you to listen without distraction. They invade your personal space, physically, emotionally, mentally, under the guise of closeness or connection. And when you allow these intrusions without resistance, you teach them something dangerous: that the gate is unguarded. This is why your boundaries must be high, clear, and enforced without hesitation. A fortress is not a fortress because of its beauty. It is a fortress because it keeps out what does not belong. You must decide, in advance, where the lines are. And you must hold those lines with the resolve of a ruler who knows that one breach can lead to collapse. Setting boundaries with a narcissist is not as simple as saying no. A narcissist will test a verbal no, the way a thief tests a lock. They will look for weak points, for moments when your tone softens or your rules bend. This is why your boundaries must be backed by consequence. When they cross the line, there must be an immediate and consistent response. Not anger, not pleading, simply action. This is not just about protecting your comfort. It is about projecting strength. A ruler whose fortress is impenetrable earns not only safety, but respect. When people see that you will not be manipulated, they think twice before attempting it. In the eyes of the narcissist, this shifts the balance of power. They may still try to provoke you, but they will no longer assume you are easy prey. The key is to enforce your walls without revealing emotion. If you become visibly angry or hurt, you give them fuel. Narcissists are not only deterred by resistance, they are entertained by reaction. Your boundaries must be like stone, unmoved, cold, unyielding. You do not shout when someone runs into your wall. You let them feel the impact and decide whether to try again. But here is the difficult truth. The moment you start building your fortress, they will escalate. They will test your new defenses harder than ever before. They will accuse you of being selfish, cold, or cruel. They will try to guilt you into lowering your gates. And this is where most people fail, because they mistake discomfort for danger. The discomfort is simply the enemy realizing they can no longer walk freely through your territory. In time, they will either adapt to your walls or seek an easier target. And that is precisely the point. Your fortress is not built to keep out everyone. Only those who would drain your strength and diminish your power. When a narcissist discovers they cannot cross your boundaries without consequence, they lose interest in the siege. A fortress also changes how you move through the world. You no longer live in constant defense, reacting to every provocation. You live from a place of stability, deciding who and what enters your space. This shift in posture alone makes you more difficult to manipulate, because the narcissist cannot play a game they no longer control. And do not forget, a fortress is not only about walls, it is about gates. You choose when to open them, to whom, and for how long. A narcissist may linger outside, trying to sweet-talk their way in, but the gatekeeper, you, answers to no one. A narcissist is not just dangerous in private. Their most devastating moves happen in public. They know how to use charm like a weapon, smiling while slipping the knife. They understand that people will forgive or overlook manipulation if it comes wrapped in charisma. And they will often use you as a prop in this show. The one they interrupt, the one they joke about at your expense, the one they subtly belittle so they can appear superior. If you do not control the stage, you will always be reacting to their performance. They will set the tone, they will decide who the audience roots for, and they will always make sure the spotlight is on them, even when the truth is not. But Machiavelli would remind you that no ruler ever wins by allowing the enemy to dictate the battlefield. You must shape the arena to your advantage. Controlling the stage means first removing the audience they rely on. Without an audience, their performance loses its power. This may mean refusing to engage in public confrontations, denying them the dramatic reaction they want, or steering conversations away from topics where they can perform their dominance. You decide where the interaction takes place and under what terms. But controlling the stage is not only about defense, it is about offense. You can create your own stage, one where you are the one directing the story. In this setting, you determine the narrative, the pace, and the image others see. This is where you can subtly shift perception, where you can speak in ways that expose truth without direct accusation, and where you can ensure that you are never the passive character in their play. Consider this in a crowded room. When they attempt to pull you into a public quarrel, you respond with calm control. You speak slowly, clearly, and without hostility. The contrast between their theatrics and your composure is a silent weapon. The audience, once captivated by their energy, now begins to question it. The stage has shifted. They are no longer the charming lead, but the overacting fool. Another part of controlling the stage is understanding timing. You do not need to respond to every jab, every provocation, or every dramatic display. Sometimes the most effective move is to wait. to let them exhaust themselves, to let them push too far, until they reveal the ugliness they work so hard to hide. A good ruler does not rush into the open field without first forcing the enemy into a disadvantageous position. In more private settings, you can control the stage by limiting the scope of interaction. Keep meetings short, keep conversations on topics you choose, and avoid giving them emotional openings to exploit. A narcissist's performance feeds on unpredictability. By making every exchange structured and purposeful, you starve them of the chaos they need to shine. There is also a deeper psychological advantage here. When you control the stage, you control the memory of the event. People rarely remember exact words. They remember impressions, the emotional weight of a moment. If you are the one shaping those impressions, you will always hold the stronger position in the long run. To a narcissist, losing the stage is unbearable. Without the spotlight, they cannot maintain the illusion of superiority. Without control of the setting, they cannot control the audience's perception. They may lash out, try to create new opportunities to perform, or attempt to drag you back into their arena. But every time you refuse, every time you hold the stage on your own terms, you weaken their influence over both you and others. The mistake most people make when dealing with a narcissist is believing that victory comes from winning arguments, proving them wrong, or making them understand the harm they cause. This is a trap. A narcissist will never truly hear you, because to hear you would mean admitting they are not perfect, and their ego will not allow that. Every time you try to reason with them, you give them more of what they want: your focus, your emotional energy, your time. You believe you are defending yourself, but in truth, you are feeding the very beast you wish to defeat. Withdrawing your power source means understanding that the battle is not fought with words, but with absence. You stop giving them the reactions they crave. You stop explaining yourself, defending yourself, or seeking their validation. You become, in their world, a barren land. No attention to harvest, no emotion to consume. For a narcissist, this is not just frustrating, it is unbearable. This does not mean ignoring them in every sense. It means being deliberate in what you give. If interaction is necessary, it is stripped of emotional charge. Your voice is calm, your words short, your face unreadable. They cannot feed on neutrality. They cannot twist indifference into a performance for others. You are no longer a willing participant in their theater. At first, this will trigger a reaction. When you take away their supply, they will not go quietly. They will escalate, provoking you more aggressively, testing new ways to get a rise out of you. They may use guilt, play the victim, or spread lies to force you into defending yourself. This is their desperation, the last attempt to reattach their hooks. If you give in here, you teach them that persistence works. But if you remain steadfast, you teach them something far more dangerous to their control, that they cannot reach you. This withdrawal of energy also works in more subtle ways. Every narcissist needs someone to center their narrative around, a figure to push against or use for comparison. When you step out of that role, their script begins to unravel. Without your attention, they are forced to find another source, and in doing so, they often reveal their patterns to others. You, meanwhile, conserve your strength for pursuits that matter, no longer wasting it on a bottomless pit. It is not just your emotional energy they need. It is also your agreement to see them as they wish to be seen. When you withdraw your recognition of their false superiority, even in silence, you weaken their grip. They sense the shift, even if you never speak of it. They can feel when your mind no longer bends to their reality. This is where your true power lies, in reclaiming the authority over your own perception. Think of it like cutting an enemy's supply lines in war. You do not need to storm their fortress or fight every soldier. You simply make sure no food or water reaches them. Eventually, the strongest walls crumble from within. The narcissist's fortress is built entirely on external validation. Without it, the structure begins to rot. The brilliance of this strategy is that it does not rely on their cooperation. You do not need their agreement to stop giving them your energy. You do not need them to understand why you are doing it. You act and they react. And with every ounce of energy you keep for yourself, you strengthen your position while their influence over you fades into nothing. In the presence of a narcissist, you are not dealing with an ordinary adversary. You are facing an artist of manipulation, a predator who hunts in the realm of emotions, a ruler of illusions who bends reality to suit their will. But no matter how cunning they appear, their power is not absolute. It exists only when you allow it. The moment you master your silence, mirror their illusions, raise your walls like fortresses, take control of the stage, and cut off the supply they feed on, you become untouchable. The narcissist survives on chaos. You will survive on control. Remember, power is never given freely. It is taken, kept, and defended. And in this game, the one who sees through the mask will always outlast the one who wears it.